now I'm all good. Let me
Good.
put
I'm
my...
just going to do a quick housekeeping if you don't mind, Beth. We're at 8:57, so we've got a minute or two.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I believe that most people are here. We've got early entries. So we are going to have a presentation this morning by Beth, and it's post. Is that right, Beth?
POS, like rhymes with
Poss.
boss.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, Poss. Beth Poss, and she will be presenting this morning. I've got the wrong room. I'm so sorry. No, creating supports for comprehensive emergent literacy instruction. Sorry about that.
That's okay. All good.
That's a mouthful. Before we begin, a few housekeeping. So, of course, we ask people to turn off their videos and mute mics. It just helps with a lot of background noise. It's not personal. It's got nothing to do with anybody else. We love to see and hear you, but we need to make it as distraction-free as possible. If you want captions, please click on the CC at the bottom of the screen. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat. I will be aware of it, and so will Beth. The speaker will get to them at the end of the presentation. To bring up the chat quickly, you can do an Alt-H. The meeting will end on time, which is 9:45. We've got another meeting following this one. So we have to kind of stay within our schedule. So now, again, we're going to have Beth take over. And if anybody needs me, I am here. I'm kind of hovering. And so is our ATAC group. So good luck, Beth. We're looking forward to hearing you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I'm just going to adjust my camera a smidge, but it matters. So good morning, everyone. We have I have 8:59. So just maybe 30 seconds or 60 seconds before our official start time. If anybody that wants to pull up the slide deck, you are more than welcome to. You can either go to, and let me actually put this in the chat for a second. Let me minimize this. Oops. Let me put this in the chat for anybody. I'll get that link real quick for you guys. If anybody wants, you can either use that QR code there, or I will put this in the chat so that people can have it. There we go. And let me go back into present mode. So anybody that wants it, you can go to bit.ly POSLitNJ, and it will take you to that slide deck. So anybody that would like to have access to those slides, you are more than welcome to do that. I have 9 o'clock on the dot, and 45 minutes is just not enough time for this topic. So I'm going to try to find a balance between sharing information at a reasonable pace, not overwhelming you, and not talking too fast, but still getting through everything that I'd like to share. I probably won't get through it all. There might be a few slides that we just skip for the sake of time, but you'll have access to those resources in the slide deck. You can find me on Twitter at POSBeth, and I would love you to share out anything that you're learning during the session or after the session by tagging me in it. You can also find me on Instagram at BethPos. Or you can always email me at posbeth@gmail.com, and I will be happy to chat with you about anything related to literacy, assistive technology, etc. Just a little bit about me, and again, that QR code is still up there, and the as is the link. So just a little bit about me is that I am an assistive technology consultant. But my primary hat that I wear, I'm here as an assistive technology consultant today. I actually like to think of myself as an inclusion advocate instead of simply an assistive technology consultant. But the job that pays the bills most of the time is I am the director of educational programs with Lessonpix. I will be sharing some Lessonpix things in this session, but this is not a Lessonpix session. It just is a vehicle sometimes for me to share some ideas with you. I am a speech language pathologist by background. I am an avid reader, and I think literacy is so important. And I'm also the co-author of Inclusive Learning 365, ed tech strategies for every day of the year, along with our super host, Mike Murata, and some other friends that I think are going to be here today as well, Chris Bugay and Karen Janowski. So please feel free to check out that book if you'd like. Our learning objectives today. You guys are going to learn at least 3 elements that promote success for students with significant disabilities in learning to read and write. Be able to describe 5 evidence-based practices in comprehensive emergent literacy instruction, and locate at least 10 accessible resources that support emergent literacy instruction in any learning environment. And I'm just going to post one more time in case we've had some more recent additions. If you want to get the slide deck, it is right there in the chat, bit.ly/POSLitNJ. So let's make sure that we are defining literacy, that we are all on the same page. And of course, I have my emoji, my Bitmoji is blocking it. I will fix that in my Google Slides. But reading and writing, and I'm defining this based on the work of Karen Erickson and David Copenhaver. I think this has become a Bible for so many of us in the last couple of years. So comprehensive literacy instruction for all, teaching students with significant disabilities to read and write. But it is defined, literacy in there is defined as reading and writing traditional orthography. Anybody know a good speech language pathologist that could help me with that word? All right. Traditional orthography, meaning alphabet letters, right? For meaningful purposes. It is not reading picture symbols, right? It is not, there's lots of other literacy out there, right? There's informational literacy. There is math literacy, right? We are talking about literacy. They make the point in the book that if we look at literacy in any other way, we diminish the need to focus instruction on the ability to decode and encode text, right? And that's what we really have to make sure that our learners are getting the opportunity to develop skills in. Now, this is gonna drive me crazy. I did a little fix in my thing, and of course it totally messed up. So I'm gonna fix that right now because that will just drive me nuts to have that like that. And you guys can't see the text, so let's fix that. We gotta love Google Slides. This is why I present in Google Slides, because these things happen, right? All right, so hopefully that's the only one that's gonna be doing that to me right now. All right, so I wanna make the point, I think I skipped a thing. All right, there we go. I wanna talk just really briefly about symbol-supported text. Symbol-supported text is like that image that you're seeing right there on your screen, where most or all words in a text or a book are paired with a corresponding image or picture to symbolize or represent that word. This is not an evidence-based practice. In my career, in my over 30-year career, I have made probably at least 100, if not more, symbolated books to use with learners in the past. But when we know better, we do better. And this is not an evidence-based practice. And in fact, there is evidence that the use of symbolated text makes learning to read more difficult, right? And I've caught a couple of references there, including a link to Jane Farrell's blog post, which is where this image is from. Now, that being said, illustrations are not symbolated text. We want to use illustrations, but illustrations and picture books, they add context and meaning to the text on a page, but they don't represent the text on the page, right? And Spear Swirling actually talks about in an article, which is on Reading Rockets, that reliance on context to compensate for inaccurate so reliance on picture context, right? To compensate for inaccurate or non-automatic word reading creates a drain on comprehension. So illustrations add to our understanding, but they don't create the understanding. We have to be able to decode that text, right? So in the example here, the text is Pug sees Tad. We also have the text that's part of the illustration, yap, 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 yap. But we don't know the meaning of the text from the illustration, but it might give us some additional information, right? Like Pug sees Tad. So I probably might know from that Pug is the dog and that Tad is the person in the bed, because Pug is the one looking and Tad isn't really looking at anybody, the person in the bed. But that's not giving me a word for word, right? I still need to be able to decode this, right? I might be able to talk about it, but illustrations are not symbolated text. And AAC symbols, I'll fix that later. AAC symbols are not symbolated text either. We are not saying, oh, don't have images on your augmentative communication device. Symbols on an augmentative communication device help individuals, whether they are literate or developing, whether they're conventionally literate or developing literacy skills, more quickly locate a word on that. So I just want to set that out there about, we don't symbolate text to support learning to read, but we certainly want illustrations, and we certainly we view symbols on AAC devices as important for individuals to use if they are using that type of a strategy. All right, now we are going to talk about lots of different tools and resources, but let me tell you, tools come and go, and tools don't teach, right? Strategies and teachers teach, educators teach. Strategies provide the pedagogy to make the tool effective. So I'm going to show you tools, but I want you to remember, it's not the tool that's powerful, it's the pedagogy and the strategy that you use behind the tool, with the tool. Oops, a little too fast. So one of the big strategies that we want to make sure is we want kids to have access to reading materials. We want our learners to have access to reading materials. We also need to make sure that we are providing resources that they want, text that they want to read, high interest text, right? And part of that is finding texts that mirror our learners. We want to make sure that they have topics that they are passionate about, even if it doesn't interest you, right? Okay, that they feature characters that look and sound like them. And easy to read does not mean boring, right? So, and I know a few more people may have joined in, so I just posted the link to the slide deck in the chat again, right? So just because it's easy to read doesn't mean it needs to be boring. So those are things that we really need to take into consideration when we are locating resources, reading resources for our learners. Oh, I am like click happy today. So I promised you this is not a Lessonpix session. It is not a Lessonpix session, but I do want to share with you some really nice tools. So sometimes what we need to do is we simply need to create the resources ourselves for our learners. And we've probably, all of us have probably made books. So made books and tools that like PowerPoint and other resources are great for creating and making our own books. Lessonpix is a wonderful tool to do that in. You can find lots of other tools with images as well. But one of the things that I do love about Lessonpix is the fact that we have images in our resources in our clip art library that show the diversity of the world, right? So whether it is as an AAC user, like in our book here, Emma talks with her AAC device, or whether it is showing individuals from different cultures, different body types, different abilities. And all of the Lessonpix resources are easy to download as either a PDF or as a PowerPoint, or you can upload those into Google Slides to easily make it on your own. And so I am going to take about like 2 minutes, really, literally 2 minutes, to go in and show you how quickly and easy it is to make a resource in Lessonpix. Now I know I did this last night, so let's refresh my screen so that I'm going to have to log in super fast. Let's do this one more time. So I'm just going to log into my Lessonpix account really, really quickly, lessonpix.com. And I already loaded up my screen, my tray with the images that I wanted to use, right? So from our clip art library, I found the images that I wanted to use. And I decided to do a little riff off of the book. I Went Walking. I Went Walking is one of my favorite children's books, but it features an able-bodied white child. I'm not even 100% sure if it's a male or female. I don't think that really matters, but I wanted to have a version of this book that featured a different individual in it. And so I can create that in Lessonpix. So I'm going to go actually to our We have a books and stories template, but I'm actually going to go to our matching books template and I'm going to click next. I already have my text set up in here, exactly what I wanted it to say. I am going to duplicate this first one, and I'm going to call this my by Mrs. P. It's going to be my author page, my title page. My cover, I'm going to click next, and this is going to be my I went walking. And I am going to click finish. It's as easy as that. And now I could download this as a PDF and print this out, but I just want to show you guys how cool it is that we can also have this as a PowerPoint book so that we could add text to speech to this if we wanted. We can do a lot of really cool things. Let me save this to my desktop, save, and then let's go in. Now, if you don't have Lessonpix, you can reach out to me about getting Lessonpix. But if you're using another resource, take these same ideas and apply it to that resource, right? You could just have PowerPoint and find cool images and create your own book too, right? So I have my I Went Walking book. We've got the whole thing, I went walking. And so instead of having the little guy that was in that book, or the little individual who's in this book, who again is a white able-bodied child, I decided I wanted somebody who went walking. Well, sometimes you go walking with crutches, right? Instead. So we've got our I went walking. What did you see? I see a black cat looking at me. We've got that whole predictable text in there, all of that. But one of the things, the reason I chose this particular one is because I can actually go in to my my Lessonpix add-on for PowerPoint, and I can make this a much more interactive. Now I could totally put text to speech on this if I wanted to, but I went walking. What did I see? And we could guess, like, what do you think that she is going to see next, or they are going to see next? Like, maybe my student is going to guess that they saw a horse, right? But you know what? She saw a black cat following me. I went walking. What do you see? What did I see? And we could continue to guess. Well, maybe now it's going to be the horse, right? I got a little click happy there, and we can keep going. So again, to make this an interactive activity where my learners, you're right, I saw a brown horse. Who do you think we're going to see next? Who's going to be on the next page, right? So maybe it's going to be my friend here. All right. Very quick and easy to make an interactive activity, your very own book that's going to have feature the individuals that you want to have in it. Now, there are lots of commercially available resources out there that are free or very low cost as well. I love Unite for Literacy. Unite for Literacy is completely free. It is all picture books. They are written in 2 languages. You can have the text in either English or in Spanish for most of the books, but then there's text to speech in multiple languages, narration actually in multiple languages for their books. And Emergent, it is Emergent text for all ages, like simple, but lots of things that can be very age appropriate for older learners. And there's one of the narration languages is ASL. And I'll just pop really quickly into Unite for Literacy just to kind of show you the range of books. If you have not looked at Unite for Literacy before, I really encourage you to, because again, it is completely free. And again, some of these books are totally appropriate for older learners, right? It is not just about, these are ones that I was looking for in ASL, but I can change that narration language, right? Like these are all different narration languages that are available. I'm looking to see. It's like looking to see if it has, it's not in alphabetical order. I wish it was. I was looking to see if it had the Pashtush, I think it is the, I may be saying that completely wrong, the language that spoke, one of the languages spoken in Afghanistan. We have so many Afghanistan refugees coming in. But like this one, I love this one, Squish. It's like one of their newer books in there. And again, you know, squish, orange cloud, red cloud, blue cloud, squish, purple cloud. This can be appropriate. Think of the language that we can get from this with some of our learners. All right, let's go back into our slide deck and keep going. Something that folks might not be as familiar with. Yeah, Valerie says she's recommended this site for DHOH, older ELL, AAC users. Absolutely. But another site that some folks might not be quite as familiar with is Oxford Owl eBook Library. Now you do, and I'm going to show an example of this again later, later in the slide, another one. You do have to sign up and register for it, but it is free for families and for educators, about 130 books. There is a for fee. Of course, this is one of these freemium sites where for free you get 130 books. There's leveled readers in this, but there's maybe 500 books if you choose to pay for the subscription, but 130 books, that's a lot, right? That you get a lot for that. There is narration for some of the books, not all of the books, which is fine. And when you do have the narration, this is a UK company, and so there's British accent when the narration, and there are also some of the vocabulary is British, is UK, whatever, English. So 6 in our families, 2 hamsters and a cat. Here's a picture of us in our flat, right? A flat is a British term for, a UK term for an apartment. So just to be aware, there's some other really cool features that we'll look at, including some annotation tools. Really, really nice resource. I really like this. And they show, I love this one here, if you look at a little closer. So one of the children in this family is in a wheelchair, right? So it's showing that diversity that we are looking for. Readtopia is a full curriculum, including math, science, and social studies, in addition to English language arts, that is by Don Johnston. It is it is definitely a for fee. It is not for free, but there are free sample units where you can read parts of a text in there to get a sense of and have all the lesson plans that go with it, to see if it is worthwhile to do an investment in it. And that free sample is a great way to do a pilot, so talk to your administrators and see, could you do a pilot of this? We at Lessonpix does have free low-tech communication boards that were designed, that go along with the entire program, that were designed with input from Caroline Musselwhite and Karen Erickson. And I'll show you a link to that. It's linked there, but I'll show you an example of that in a little bit. So this is we're primarily going to talk about emergent literacy in our session this morning. But emergent literacy is that bridge to conventional literacy, right? And so we want to make sure that the resources that we are using are connected to curriculum, that they can provide some of the same types of themes that grade peers are reading, provides opportunities to reinforce print skills, and we want to support comprehension for skills for those who comprehension may be way above their reading skills. So we don't only want to provide younger, easy readers, right? Oops, as I go a little too fast. So one of those tools that I wanted to talk about is a tool called CommonLit. CommonLit is completely free. You do need to sign up and register if you want access to all of the really cool tools and features in it, including a translation tool, an annotation tool. It has paired text and related media. So if you find one book, maybe it is a book or a text that a high school student might be reading, like Animal Farm, it will find additional media, videos, short articles, other resources that go along with the themes of that particular book. It has supports from about 2nd grade up through high school, not much below that. But the tools, the articles and the reading materials in there can be downloaded as a PDF, and there's also built-in read aloud. So sometimes, again, that 2nd grade or 3rd grade reading level may be too high for your readers to decode, but they may understand being able to listen to it. It provides definitions within the text, right? You can see where some of those numbers are, that if you clicked on those, it provides it. And it has a lot of literary and informational texts And I'll pop over here just to show you like an example. So the book Frindle, that's an elementary level novel. But if you were reading it, I could find some things that would go along well with it. Like Shel Silverstein's poem Growing Down, this passage here about, which is again at a 3rd grade level, the Draw Anything drawing. So it gives you all sorts of really nice resources to go along with it. So again, this is much more conventional literacy. This is not necessarily emergent literacy, but it is going to provide some different kinds of supports and resources, like having different font sizes. It tells you the Lexile level. It has the read aloud, it has translation, and it has annotation tools, as well as ready to go guiding questions to support it. So really great tool there. Newsy LA is another one of those wonderful tools that is great for our learners who are ready to move into more conventional text, or that have that ability to comprehend that more conventional text, but not necessarily be able to read it independently. It has the same exact articles adapted at multi-levels. So you could give your student with more lower reading level the same article, right? The same content, the same illustrations, but it'll have been adapted. It has text to speech in it as the new feature. It is primarily informational text. You can match your content to interest, and the articles are also available in Spanish as well as English. All of those articles are available Spanish as well as English. Let's talk a little bit about the type of reading. I feel like I skipped a slide. There we go. My clicker is a little click happy today. So let's talk a little bit about shared reading. And a lot of times those higher level articles that I showed you in CommonLit, and CommonLit's not just articles, it also has literary text passages. Those higher level articles could be perfect for a shared reading experience where you're not expecting that student to read that text independently, but instead you are working on vocabulary by labeling illustrations and talking about the text. You're talking about what's going on in the book is a critical part of shared reading. Being able to reference real life connections and referencing the print. So these are all important things that you can do in the context of a shared reading activity. So let's talk a little bit about what I mean by labeling illustrations. Picture walk. We want to give our learners opportunities for repetition with the same text, right? And what I find to be one of the best first reads of a text is to do a picture walk. It provides, and that is where you are literally talking about the pictures. You're not reading the text, but you're going through a book and talking about those pictures. It's an opportunity to pre-teach vocabulary. I love it because you can teach this concept of circumlocution. So when we talk about descriptive teaching methods, we know all of our learners do not, whether it is because of their vocabulary skills, their language skills, their AAC, the limitations of their AAC device, they don't always have all of the words that are in the text, but we can talk about the images that they're seeing, right? So if we were reading the book Find a Fossil, which is one of the Unite for Literacy books, and we were doing a preview of this, and we could say, you know, right, they might not know what the word fossil is, but we could talk about, and they might not even have the word easily accessible for rock or stone there, but we could talk about that's hard and that's old. And something is there, and I see that, right? And we might not, again, like that they have to look and find, right? So lots of words that we'd be able to use to talk, you know, what do you think that she is doing? She's looking at something, and I see she's outside. I see boxes. Ooh, I see, maybe they don't have broom on their device, but it could be, I see something to clean with. You know, I wonder what is in those, right? So lots of great things that we can do on a picture walk without reading that text. And a picture walk is fabulous for multilingual learners as well. So not just your students necessarily with disabilities, but for those multilingual learners to really help them develop that vocabulary as well. And this is just an example of a one of those fringe vocabulary boards that is free, that you can use to go along with, right, your core. And so here's an example of that core vocabulary along with that fringe vocabulary that you might use when you're talking about either one of those books that we just saw in there, whether it was from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea or that Find the Fossil book, right, that we would be talking about, that they were in the mountains. You may be going to a cave, right, all of that information. And these are completely free. You can download these right from Lessonpix, lessonpix.com/Readtopia. Tar Heel Shared Reader is another fabulous book for doing a shared reading activity. It can be great for providing support for students without a robust communication system. And if you've seen Tar Heel Reader, Shared Tar Heel Reader, or it's the website is shared.tarheelreader.com. A lot of times we refer to it as Tar Heel Shared Reader. But what it does is it integrates the vocabulary from Project Core right into the site that it's in. And so it provides support for students who may not have a robust communication system, or for you to simply be modeling. Maybe you've got learners with different communication systems in your classroom, but you could be modeling up on that interactive whiteboard the ways that your students and your learners can respond, right? Like, have you ever seen a dinosaur? Look, you know, to be able to look at that. It's a great with the car routine, and there's a link to what that is, but essentially follow the car is where you are going to comment on something. Ooh, you know, I'll go read that. Have you ever seen a dinosaur? Wow, that dinosaur is a little creepy looking. That's my comment, right? And I would wait and see if I get a response from my students. Then I might ask, do you, you know, I don't love the vocabulary, it's on there for the look, right? What, you know, do you see that? Oh, look at that. Look at his teeth, right? And then they might tell you, look, you know, and then respond, where I'm going to respond to anything that my learner gives me. If they go, you know, or if they laugh, or if they touch, look, yes, I do. I see it, his teeth. And look, I wonder what else. I wonder if that's where his eyes are, right? We'd be able to go and do that. I want to talk about referencing real life connections. And this is just an example with it, with a text from CommonLit, but this is with anything, right? So whether it was, have you ever been to a museum before? Have you seen dinosaur bones? If I know that my learners love to watch basketball or get to play basketball, I'm going to look for ways to connect their real life connections to any text that we are working in. So I had a student that I work with who Mom let me know, we are reading 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea from the Readtopia curriculum. And Mom let me know that she has actually been on a submarine. And so I can reference that when we're talking. Do you remember you've been on a Now, most kids have not been on a submarine before, but they may have been to the beach. They may have seen the water. They may be scared of monsters, right? So how do you connect things to what's actually happening in their lives? I want to talk a little bit about annotation and print referencing. So not only when we read books can we ask kind of comprehension questions and make connections to their life, but it's a wonderful opportunity for us to point out in texts the print that they are seeing, even in a shared reading. So a couple of examples here, right? I can do that with some different annotation tools. One of my favorites is Cami, and let me flip over here. Nope, that's not the one I want. Oh, I know, because I have it on a completely different screen. So I think it is here. Let's see if it's there. Nope, not on that one. Let's check this one more time because I want to show you how absolutely cool this is. So let me just find it. There we go. Yes, excellent. All right, so here, let me bring this over. So here is the book that we've been booking from Readtopia, and that we were using the annotation tools in. And so we were working on, like, this would be a word that maybe they would, I want them to be able to recognize in print, right? So help, that's the word help. Look at that. He needs help. He is calling for help, right? And then I simply took I took a drawing tool to be able to, right? So I could, there we go. And I could actually sit there and underline and write, right? So help, H, E, L, oh, I need a little more room there. H, E, L, P, I could go ahead and write that. We underlined it. On another page here, we were able to work on identifying the word on. We are on the monster. Before I circled that, I wrote out the word on. We emphasized it, O-N. On this page here, we were looking for the words N in the book. And so we were able to use those markup tools, those highlighting tools, and find all the uppercase and lowercase N's in this. One of the things that's super cool about Kami that I really like, and this isn't to deal with print referencing, but this is something that I've done to help get high or interest in something, is so I've added, so you can add media to this. And so we've gone out and searched for GIFs, right? So I've worked on and so we're talking about a sea monster. And so to make that a little bit more meaningful, we've gone out and found a GIF so that we could find, I'm just trying to move this guy around. Oh, my mouse is being a little wonky. So we went out and found a GIF. You know, we were able to go and search on Giphy and go and find, or on Google Drive and go and find a GIF to go with that, to add that. So a very cool tool there. I'm just keeping an eye on my time because I only have 11 minutes left. All right. Snap and Read also provides at a much simpler level opportunities for annotation tools. And so, oh, where did that go? That's not what I wanted. Come back. Oh, there it is. So let's go in here. Let me make sure that I have Snap and Read turned on. Okay, so this is a PDF. I can take any PDF that I have, and this is, I have a link to this website. I'll show you in all the resources that I have later. So this is a book that is called, a free book that's called Who's to Say. And we can, again, do some annotating in this. So I've got some different tools I can use, some painting tools, a highlighter, a paintbrush. I can kind of do some very simple types of annotations in here where we could talk about, you know, she is singing. Look at those notes. This is how I know that she's singing. I can go through, who's to say that I can't dance? So maybe we're focusing on that word can't, because I can. So different ways that I can do some simple annotation. In this, it'll also allow me to have that same text to speech kinds of tools. I can add text. I can highlight that text. I can also do some stamps and some signs on here, some signatures on here. So just some different ways, like if I wanted to, you know, highlight that this is really important in here, right? That's really important information. So that one is the annotation tools in Snap and Read. And then just really quickly, the annotation tools in Oxford Owl Books. Let's see if it's in here. So this is one of those here. And I can go in, this is one of the ones that has some annotation tools built into that. So that's that Oxford Owl Books. All right, let's keep going. Too much information in too little time. Also with print referencing, I love this series in Epic. It's called Discover the Alphabet series. There is a book for every letter. It has great simple pictures in it. It is wonderful for all ages. And I love the fact that for each of the books, it not only talks about things that start with that word, but it talks about looking for it in the middle and the end of words too, right? E is in the middle of lots of words. The deer meet antlers in the forest, right? So it's really important. All right, let's talk a little bit about independent reading. We need to give our learners opportunities with both familiar and unfamiliar text. And I know a few more people have joined in, so I just want to put the link to the slide deck in there. I just put it in the chat. We want to give them independent access as much as possible and opportunities for repetition and choice when they are reading. So here is an example. You can download this if you want. For where we have a book about actions, but then to go along with it, we have action puzzles to go with that. In Epic, if you didn't know, in Epic, you can actually create collections that you can then assign to learners so that when they log into their Epic account, and it is free for teachers and free for students to access it during the school day, they can go and choose from collections of books that you think or that they've indicated that they like and allow them to have opportunities. One of my favorite collections that I made in Epic is Really Gross Books. So that is my collection of really gross books. If you were to find, it is a public collection. Oops, I'm in the wrong tool. It is a public collection. And if I went into my library and my collections, this is a public one. So if you searched for really gross books, you would be able to find that collection. There you go. And then you could, because it's public, you could assign it and then you can share it with others. And I'll just share that in the chat just so that anybody that wants to take a look at my collection of really gross books that they can. Because kids love gross books, right? Create your own collection. Everybody was totally into Bitmoji classrooms when we were closed, when schools were mostly closed over the last year or so. But those are some things that we can still have available, right? So here it's just, I made my own really simplistic version of a Bitmoji bookshelf. I wanted it simple. I didn't want it overwhelming, but these are all links to books that my students can hopefully then access independently. Whoops, one more. Another important part of comprehensive literacy instruction is word study. And that's where you are developing the phonological awareness to support decoding and encoding. So decoding is decoding that text to read it. Encoding is the spelling part of it. And within word study, one of the best activities, best strategies that you can do is called making words. It's a spelling-based approach to decoding. And it's where students use letters to build target words. Generally, there's a couple of different ways that you can do it. You can just have letters that you are going to maybe perhaps work on a particular word family with, changing out the letters to be able to build those words. Patricia Cunningham in her work, she talks about starting with like a kind of a secret word, right? And it might be a word that's like from the curriculum or from a vocabulary word that you're working on. And then you take that word and you mix those letters up, and then you're making all of those all of those words from that. It's a great thing to do with learners' names, right? A little hard with my name, Beth, like not that many. I could do B, we could do the, we could do, that's the, Beth, I can't think of any. Bet, thank you. Thanks, Judy. We could do bet, but it's a great thing to do with kids' names, right? Let's get some longer names in there, like Judith. We could do a little bit more maybe with Judith, right? But again, it could be a word that I am, like I could have the word walking in there if we were making our own book. Thank you. If we were making our own book, we could have the word walking in that, Ken. But they transfer the learning by using the words they've made to spell new words with the same pattern, right? So if we can spell bet, B-E-T, then we can spell pet, and we can spell met, and we can spell get, right? If we've got that word ending. Some really great tools that are out there for this. I'm not going to take the time to show these because I only have 4 minutes left, but magnetic letters, that is the name of the app, right? So okay, you can use regular magnetic letters, but there's an app called Magnetic Letters. That's all it's called. It's Magnetic Letters. It also has text to speech in it. So if I put these two letters together, like up, it's going to say up. It's going to say k. If I bring those together, it's going to say cup. Magnetic ABC is a similar app, but there's no text to speech. You might not want text to speech with it, right? You might really want to have those learners working on those connections. Or you can just do this in Jamboard using sticky notes or text boxes and have students and learners work collaboratively on that. Puzzly is another app that I love. I really did want to show that. I'm not going to show it because I don't have time, but it allows you to take any picture on your computer. And I'm gonna stop sharing for 2 seconds just to show you on my thing. So I've got my puzzle here. So that's a picture of my daughter's dog. I superimposed the word dog on top of it, but then it makes it into a puzzle that then they get to put together. And so if you've got kids that love to do puzzles, right? So it's just a really cool way. And you can share that with anybody who has that app. Let me share my screen again. Because that's one I don't think a lot of people know about. Super, super fun. If you want to try it, go to on your phone, or your iPad, go to bit.ly/puzzlebeth. bit.ly/puzzlebeth. And if you have the app, it'll let you play my puzzle. So you can share things like with families and stuff like that way, or it'll prompt you to get the app, which is a free app. All right, low tech or high tech, you match the need. So here's a folder game that you can print. You would have these printable cards here. It's linked here. It's a free sample, or you could do this totally as a digital activity right here. So we could be talking about, can I make that word like zeet is not going to cut it, but cheat is definitely an EAT chunk word, right? Neat, beat, cheat, seat, meet. Whoops. Cheat is not one, right? But I could use that. So whether you want it to be high tech or low tech, it's up to you. I got like 2 minutes. I have 1 minute. I am not going to have time to show you this. I wish I could, but it's going to take me too long. Lessonpix has dice. You can add text as your symbols. You don't have to have any pictures. And then I can have 2 sets of my dice up, roll those dice. I've got the alphabet letters on one. I have chunk endings on the other. I pull it together and we move those. I can just grab that text and move it over to my Jamboard. And we can decide, well, fig is a word, fought is not a word, cat is a word. So a great activity to work on that too. Writing, I've got like 30 seconds to talk about writing. Write for an authentic audience, offer choice of topics, focus on the ideas, not the letter formation, and not every piece needs to be published. Use mentor texts. We create writers by reading with them, because they provide a referent and inspiration for writers. So my mentor text for that activity that I showed you earlier was I went walking, but then we made our own version of it. And it didn't have to be those animals. Maybe I went swimming and I saw ocean animals, right? A mentor text can be an opportunity also to read a text that is at a lower age level, right? I wouldn't read I went walking with high schoolers, but I might read it as an example so that they can write a text that they're going to share with our local kindergarten classrooms. So contact me for any questions that you have. You can go through and look at the rest of the slides on your own. I'm sorry I didn't get through to them, but contact me at POSBeth with any questions. I think next time I just need to do one on reading and a separate one on writing, and my time is up. So POSBeth@gmail. Thank you guys so much for giving me your time, and download the slide deck and you'll have all of the resources. That very last slide takes you to a Wakelet with all the resources, the research, everything in there. So 45 minutes, not enough time. Thanks, guys. anybody has any questions, you guys know how to get a hold of me.
Thanks so much, Beth. That was fabulous.
Oh, you're welcome.
Really, thank you so much. Everyone, we're closing the room. The next sessions will start at 10 a.m. and you have the choices of going through rooms 1 through 4. So we'll see you all soon. Beth, they're just, yeah, right. Not enough time.
Not enough
All
time.
day. Thank you again. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye, everybody.